Hello, this is How to Be Unpopular podcast number... I don't know, do you follow the podcast at all?
No.
You don't?
No.
I think we're on like 184 or 185, which is pretty crazy. But it's interesting.
185 podcasts?
Yeah. I don't know how many listeners we have yet, but...
You've done 185 of these?
Yeah. People actually listen to them.
Shit.
But you actually got a hold of me, so
How many people listen?
Anywhere from 100 to 500. Maybe for the more popular people, we might have 1,000. I don't know. I'd have to ask Todd.
Do you guys make money off this?
No. No, we just kind of do it for fun. It started as a fun thing.
So you just do it for fun?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you actually got a hold of me that you were interested in doing this. You say that you don't listen to the podcast, but you were the one who wanted to do
I've
the
heard about it. You know.
How'd you hear about it?
Just, I know some people who listen.
But, I mean...
like blade nerd types, that just listen to everything.
But if you don't listen to the podcast, why would you want to come on to the podcast? I don't want to get too standoffish.
Well, okay, yeah. I just know that a lot of people listen to it, and I'm just trying to get my name out there.
I think some people might know. I mean, for
basically,
people...
like, I'm just I'm trying to play the blade game. What's the blade game? The blade game it's an attention war.
We'll get into that more. I don't think that there is a blade game, but...
Well, you're either playing it or you're not. I mean, but it exists.
I think doing things like this podcast is as far away from the blade game as possible, but I would like to hear more.
No, we're playing the blade game.
For those of you who don't know, this is Rod Kinney. I only know like a little bit about this guy. You Google him, there's not a lot of pictures or anything that come up.
There's a lot of shit.
I only found like a few edits. You ride for Hot Dogs Gods, which is an up-and-coming brand.
The brand?
Well, time will tell. It's rollerblading. I mean, you have to be willing to put it in
okay,
the long haul.
Fair enough.
Which, I'm sure, like I've seen your stuff, it's pretty good. I like what you're doing. But yeah, there's not a lot of information on you, so...
that's how I try to keep it.
How long? Yeah, which is tough because social media and everything. If you're trying to play the blade game, what?
Here's how I'll say it. Every time you put something out, okay, that is a representation of you and your sport. Everything. So if I go skating and say I do topsoils, I do topsoils all day, a couple hours of topsoils, and then I go and I do one toe roll on the ledge, and you film it and you put it online. Oh, that's what this guy does. This guy does toe rolls. You see? So I'm just very cognizant of what I put online. Okay? Yeah. I don't put like what I consider to be like low quality or things that don't represent me in the light that I want to be represented online.
Well, I'm confused because, I mean, you say like a toe roll, so is that a bad thing?
It might be.
How so?
So, I'm not picking. I don't mean to just pick on toe rolls, but I mean like goofy tricks. Like if you just put like goofy tricks online, then okay, you for instance. Okay, let's talk about you guys. So, you guys put out like a ton of shit. Okay, and I would say that like 90% of it, like you guys do some really hot shit. There's some hot shit like buried in it, and I mean buried.
Thank you.
You really have to dig. I would say like maybe 2-3% of the tricks that you guys are worthy.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Okay, but you guys put a lot of bullshit online, and what you guys need to do is you need to talk to someone like myself or someone who knows the blade game, like Drew Backrack, Joe Navran, someone who's been there, done that, someone to tell you, okay, no, don't put this online, save it, use this, put this online.
I don't understand though, who's watching. Like, I understand
everybody.
I understand that like we do lots of experimenting and we try a lot of different tricks, And I've even seen
Yeah,
you
and that's cool.
do.
That's-
I've
hey.
seen you do some of that stuff yourself. Like
Experimentation's cool, having fun is cool, but you just want to be careful with what you put online.
And I understand that you do balance out some of the goofier things that you try, because you do a little bit of it. I've seen it.
No,
yes,
I do not.
I've seen it. You've done.
I don't do goofy shit.
The toe and heel wheel. You've done that in a few different edits.
Yeah, that shit's hot.
What? How can you make fun of experimental weird stuff and do a toe and heel wheel out of a trick? Like what?
It was refined.
Well, if you've ever, well,
and I've been practicing that trick for like 2 years.
You don't listen to the podcast, and Frank Stoner's been talking about canonical and non-canonical tricks, and there's a reason why.
What does canonical mean?
Canonical is like a top sole, or a front side, or a back slide, or a royale, like things that are a part of the canon, accepted maneuvers and tricks that we know are stylish, that we know are part of our language, whereas maybe and Mizu is borderline because it can be unstylish from time to time. But let's just say like a rough grind or a sidewalk, a toe and heel, a daffy as some people would call it. You know, when you
so you're looking at the toe heel. I didn't just do a toe heel. You know, I did. It was all one thing.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true.
So what was the entire trick? It's like I'm a politician, and you're taking a single phrase that I said, but you're not explaining the whole sentence.
But you were trying to say earlier that we do stuff that looks goofy, and
you do.
But we do whole things as well. We just don't have as many grinds.
Okay.
So you're
do you think that what you do is tight?
That's not the goal of it.
And then what's the goal? If it's your goal is not to be tight,
can you
what's your goal?
Can you describe being tight, just from your perspective? Because
dude, if I have to explain what tight is, you're in the wrong game. You don't even know you're playing a game.
You know, I do love doing this podcast because there are some people who just think of skating so differently, and I don't think of the blade game, and I don't think of being tight.
Who don't. That's it.
I think there's certain things that feel good. Sometimes they look good. There's certain experiments that work or don't work.
Right.
But,
right.
So I guess my version of like being tight or knowing something is tight is did it feel good, and I guess a certain amount of speed and control. Being tight is being in control and maybe going fast and being confident.
Right. So yeah, you know, you from your words, you know what tight is. I just and maybe you like, okay, do you know that a lot of your tricks are not tight?
Yeah, probably by your definition of tight, like you.
I don't think it's my definition.
Well, no, I mean, I said
I don't own tight. I mean, I can be tight.
I think actually some of the recent stuff is pretty straightforward that I've been doing. Like, I have not been doing much swiveling. I've just been going fast. I've been doing wall rides. Like, I haven't been doing anything too weird lately. I understand maybe some of, like, some older stuff. Every once in a while I might throw something in. Like, I understand maybe some swivels or certain things or goofier. But I like doing
a very
that stuff
important
too.
aspect of tight is difficulty. And I think a lot of the stuff that you guys do is too easy to be showing it online.
What about, like...
I mean, it's not what I would... I mean, I wouldn't go out and film myself, like, rolling. You know, and you guys just roll, like, a lot.
How did you get in... Like, when you first started skating, did you start doing tricks, or did you start rolling?
I started rolling, and I enjoy rolling, but it's not... Like, I wouldn't like, I like walking, too, and I walk down the street all the time, but I wouldn't, like, show myself walking on the internet. Maybe if it was, like, an intro to, like, a good song, and I was, like, stepping out of, like, a nice car, and I was walking away on my way to do tight shit, you know, as a build-up. Yeah. But I wouldn't use that as the meat of the project. Whereas I feel like the meat of your project is like I don't know what the meat is. You know, like,
But-
there's a lot of shit in there that's like, oh, is this like B-roll, or is this like, are they goofing around? Like it's not clear to me what your goals are and what your intention is with, like.
One thing that always confuses me about
I think you guys need a manager.
this attitude
Yeah.
towards skating is like, who exactly is your audience? Like when you're talking about being worried about the way skating is portrayed.
People like me. There's rods, like, there's millions of rods.
There's not millions of rods.
There's millions.
Actually. There was
Maybe not at this exact moment, but past, present, future, there's millions of rods.
let's say the greatest just stunts, hammers, technical skating.
Yeah.
Tight intro of someone walking down the street. Maybe they come out of a car. Maybe they
That's
don't.
what
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
But let's just say it's the tightest section ever. Tightest in the blade
Shit.
game.
Okay. Whoa. Damn.
Maybe 40,000, 50,000 views would have. Maybe over time, maybe 100,000.
see,
but
that's
that
the
is
problem. That's-
these are the same people that like these are just the same people watching it over and over again. It's not like you kind of talk that. Maybe I misinterpreted, but you almost were talking that like you were worried about what other people thought of skating, but most of the time it's just rollerbladers watching.
Most of the time. But that's a problem. That's a huge problem in rollerblading, and I think it's the fault of people like you guys. To put it blunt, I think there's a lot of misplaced energy in skating, and you know, people like I'm eating.
How much do you make? Like, if you don't mind me asking.
I do mind you asking. That's none of your damn business. But I get paid. I do well.
Like,
I drive a very nice car.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. Very nice.
I don't believe it.
Very nice.
Maybe I'll see it in one of your edits sometime.
I've got plans for that, for me stepping out of my car, because like.
How important is the videographer in a situation like that? Like a
Very important.
Yeah.
You got to work with someone that you trust, because like I said, I can't go out filming with someone and they put any bullshit out. It's got to be legit. It's got to be proper.
Something that's really funny is like you worry so much about the kind of stuff that I put out or me and my friends put out, and people watch it and people enjoy it. So
Who's watching?
I actually
your
haven't
videos
been-
don't have that many views.
the more recent ones, like the big wheel stuff, I hit not a lot of views, but enough to know that there are people watching in different countries and things like that.
Yeah, I think
and
that's more Leon than you guys.
Have you watched him lately though? Like, what do you think
Like,
of his newest skating?
He just has like a lot of street cred, like from the past.
Yeah, but have you watched the newest skate moves edit? Like, he's not.
Yeah,
even-
I know. Yeah.
You're trying to.
No, he's full of bullshit too. I know that, but he just comes at it with a little bit more street cred than you and Todd.
So you think that is probably? I mean, it probably helps a lot. So
Like,
maybe
I'm not
the views-
saying that I like the content of like the big wheel stuff, but I'm saying that the views are coming from Leon being like
That is true. Yeah.
pretty, having a lot of street cred. He's been playing the blade game a long time. He's
Yeah.
a businessman. He owns shops. You know, he owns. I'm not crazy about his frame company, but he does own a company. And owning saying that you are a company owner, that's legit.
Is that
Even if you're making bullshit, it's legit.
So is Hot Dog Squad's like something that you are a part of? Like, it's partly your company, or
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why you're saying like you have experience in the industry, you have experience with products and
Right.
What's been your biggest like lesson? It's a relatively young brand. It's only been out for a couple of years, or
Yeah, just a couple years.
and it was too bad. I mean, you were talking about the launch a while back of Bitter Cold Showdown, and then Bitter Cold Showdown didn't happen. So it's kind of a roundabout
Right.
question, but I mean, what have you learned about the industry having this brand so far?
Well, you're either in it or you're not, and you either have it or you don't. And my greatest lesson has been to get advice from people who know. That's it.
And what have they told you?
To keep doing what I'm doing. Real knows real, Joey.
And where do you see this going? Like, so if you're saying like
I'm already there. I'm already there.
You don't have any higher aspirations with
of course
this brand.
Yeah, well, of course I have goals. I have my sights set on very big things that are coming, but I'm living it. You know, this incarnation is treating Rod Kinney very well. I'm happy. I'm eating out here. I'm like, blading might be suffering, but Rod Kinney isn't suffering. I'm getting paid. I'm doing really well.
How does he feel about? I mean, because I feel like you guys have similar styles, but my friend Todd has changed also. Like, you're pointing fingers at me, but I mean,
I'm talking to you. Yeah, Todd.
How do you feel about his transformation?
Well, see, I was like a huge fan of Todd, the earlier stuff, and he was a big influence on my skating. So it's very disappointing to see what he's doing now. I think I see it as a step backwards. I see it as a death in many ways, the death of a hero. But all I can do is just move forward, keep my head up, and keep doing what I'm doing. I can't control other people, but it saddens me a great deal.
What's sad about it, though, if it seems like
because he was so tight. He was so tight.
I understand that, but it's tight in a different way now. And it's also
but
like...
no, there's only one way of tight, Joey. There isn't... He's not tight.
How
he's
so?
Not tight.
Can you expand upon that?
He's loose.
That can be good in some people's worlds. Like, maybe the weight of what he thought skating was is off now, and he can just make it be whatever he wants.
See, I see that as kind of giving up in a way. Like, this is hard, so I'm not going to do this. That's how I see it. It's like, this is dangerous, or this takes like a lot of skill, so I'm just going to do this thing that doesn't require skill, isn't dangerous, and is somehow like still... Maybe you guys think you're in the game. You guys aren't in the fucking game. You know you're not in the game.
But I don't see it as a game, so I think this is where
okay, well, yeah, I guess...
You have to understand.
I guess you guys don't know the game.
People turn 31 and 32 and 33 and have kids and have to work jobs. Well, thank you. Rod's actually pouring tea for me right now.
Yeah.
And you only have a certain amount of time to skate, so sometimes a lot of people end up quitting, like not even skating at all. So Todd could not be skating, but Todd is still skating, and maybe he's just connected more to what it is to him now at this point in time. Because it would be really weird if he was trying to keep up some kind of standard from how he used to skate for this like, who does he have to answer to? He doesn't really have to answer to anybody.
But is it weird to go to the gym? Is it weird to drive a nice car? Is it weird to like go to the beach and like with maybe like not just one girlfriend but like 2 or 3? Is that weird?
No, there's nothing weird about that.
I mean, I can see that perspective, but I know that it's false.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of aggressive skaters. Traditionally, you've had a tough time committing to things and being in one place for a long period of time and really being able to have a life outside of aggressive skating. So do you ever think about that? The possibility of hitting your head, breaking your leg, or something happening? Like, is there more than just...
The way I see it is that this isn't even a possibility. Because that's a part of being tight, is that you have been doing it for so long that you know your capabilities and you know how to push in the right way, if that makes sense. Like, you get to a point where you see patterns, you see numbers, like everything is cause and effect, and I can look at a situation, I can look at my environment and predict the outcome of my actions in that environment. It's
I don't know if I'm following.
Well, I don't know, I can't help you there, Joey. You have it or you don't. You have that instinct. It's just, people have called it extreme. People have called it, Nike, their slogan is just do it. You know what I mean? It's just do it. It's not do it but watch out for, it's just do it.
Okay, I think I understand it a little bit. I mean, I struggle with this personally. Maybe I'm a little bit like jealous of the way
you struggle
see
a lot.
Well, I struggle a lot because I don't want to go all in. I was never a really, really good skater, but I love skating, and I just happen to love to make videos. And I don't know, I still love to be able to do it. I would love to go all in on it like you do, but I was never really a good enough skater. So maybe I'm hearing these words and there's a lot of sacrifice though, Rod. There's a lot of sacrifice that you might not be in touch with the darker emotions that some people.
Well, what I'm hearing is a lack of confidence. And what I see in yours and Todd's skating is kind of a lack of confidence.
I see it as like a really good reflection of influences far outside of where influences would have came from before.
Do you have a lot of fear in your life?
Not particularly. It's more that idea of like how much I would be cutting out of my life and how much of a sacrifice it would be.
Do you listen to Tim Robbins?
Tim Robbins is an actor.
The motivational speaker.
Tony Robbins.
That's what I said, Tony Robbins.
You said Tim Robbins.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I said Tony.
You said Tim.
Whatever. We can play back the recording, but do you listen to Tony Robbins?
No. One thing that's really interesting about him is I heard when you go to his seminars, it's extremely cold, and I always thought that was a really smart move by him. That if your body would
That's
be
a very
like,
smart move.
Yeah, imagine if this podcast was in like an extremely cold room, you would have to have your energy more up. But anyways, go on.
It's true.
Because it's kind of like it's kind of hot in here, and it gives you that kind of like weird,
warm.
That like kind of like stone, the heat stone feeling. Anyways, so you listen to Tony Robbins?
Yeah, I derive a lot of my philosophy from Tony Robbins.
So, as I was speaking, you thought of Tony Robbins? A
little bit. I think you could really benefit from some of his teachings. In particular, finding a purpose to your life.
I have found it. It's just you have to juggle. You have to juggle everything.
You have to decide what you are, what you want to do, how you're going to do it, and no excuses.
I think I've just been around my relationship to skating has been for so long.
When was the last time that you did a kinked handrail?
It's a good question. It was a while ago. It's actually footage that isn't released. Matthew Renahan was with me. It was at the Reserve. I was in Shadows. It wasn't, in your world, it wouldn't have been as good because, like if you jump on a flat and then go down and over a kink, it was one of those ones. So it wasn't like I jumped on the down and went over, but probably I'm roundabout in your question. Must have been a decade ago. Whenever I was in Shadows, when Shadows were like new. Exis Jados. So, a while back.
You were in shadows when you did a kinked rail?
Yeah, and they didn't feel... One thing that people...
See, you were really good in shadows. I liked your skating in shadows.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
I found that skate to be really limiting, especially the soles were fucking huge. Even while doing that kinked rail, you can't like...
Yeah, you want a big sole.
No, because you can't bend your foot over properly while you're grinding. Like
no, but you have more space.
Yeah, but
on your sole.
I mean, you can have a bigger sole, but if you look at some of your, I don't know, your favorite sole grind pictures might be different from mine, but I look at my favorite sole grind pictures, and the foot is always like bowed over, like the original sole grinds. It was almost like their leg was like torqued over the rail or ledge, and their knee was bending, and it's super stylish. And now you get these big sole plates. You get these like stand-up feeling soles. What?
That's a scab.
Yeah, I was working in the yard. So I mean, this is what you want to see, but skating, obviously. See, I do things with intensity, but just in other areas of my life, and then it comes through in skating once in a while.
Once in a while, it really does. I can see it, and forgive me, I don't mean to be harping. I respect you guys. I really do. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be. I wouldn't even be here if I didn't respect you guys.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, I guess a lot of my frustration just stems from being such fans of you guys, like before you went on this like wacky.
Well, I think this is more about Todd though than me, because I find that I'm more comfortable now. I've actually gotten closer to how I was trying to skate before, and I think maybe you harbor more resentment towards Todd because it's probably because
maybe a little bit just because he had such an impact on me.
Yeah, and like
growing up.
Yeah, because we skated, me, Mason, Todd, Dana, we all skated together quite a bit, and
yeah, Mason.
And I was always a weird influence just in general. So, I mean, you could be upset that I maybe helped push it in that direction, but it wasn't just me, too. There was time in Vancouver. It wasn't just my influence. But, like I said, this might be more about Todd than my skating. I'm surprised you're not, like, more into, like, the most recent stuff. I'm pretty straightforward, Rod.
Yeah, you're straightforward. I mean, but it's just.
I guess
I don't see a lot of like.
I guess it's not technical. Yeah.
I don't see a lot of technical shit.
Do you have any advice on what I can? Because it's not like I don't think I'm gonna skate aggressives. I really like the feel of big wheels, and I try.
Yeah, that's a problem. But
really.
Yeah. That's a.
Have you tried them?
No. You
haven't.
I don't need to.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I don't need to.
Didn't you start on, like, how I said rolling? Like, you didn't start by doing tricks. You got hooked on skating by just rolling. So I think if you tried them, you might kind of, like, be reminded of that feeling of trying skates for the first time.
I was always, like, more into the highlight reel than the game, you know? I liked sports growing up.
Yeah.
But I didn't really like watching the game. I liked watching like the highlight reel at the end of the day, and that's kind of if you're gonna play the game, you have to be a highlight reel. It's not about the game.
Yeah,
it's about.
So you're saying
the game is not about the game. The game is about the highlight reel.
Are you saying that
like, we're not athletes, Joey? We're not trying to put a ball in a hoop like other sports. Okay, we don't need to be out there for 2 hours, you know, listening to a coach. We don't have a coach. Okay, we are the highlight reel at the end of the night. You know what I'm saying? Do you know? Is it?
Well,
it's kind of hard to talk to you, but
I'm trying to say that. Yeah, I mean, I can feel the resistance here. I'm glad we have mutual respect.
I respect you. I just feel like when I'm talking, I feel like you don't understand where I'm coming from because we're living in different dimensions, you know?
I can understand that, but it was funny, like how you said highlight reel, so I was kind of interpreting that as like there's a bunch of stuff that you can do on big wheels that is super fun and super fast. So like,
Yeah, it might be
are
fun.
you trying to just say that like, so grinding is really important to you? And it is. I still grind in big wheels. I still do grinds.
Well,
or more like slides, I
yeah.
guess. Yeah.
And you know,
so
you're very limited. But I'm just like small wheels. Yeah, grinding obviously is a huge part of what I do.
Why do you love it?
What we do. The positions are just so tight of grinds, and that's like what I grew up watching, and that's like when I see it, that's what I feel is like dope. Like that's like whoa, like rollerblading. When it's just rolling around, like yeah, I can see that it's fun and stuff, but like I wouldn't choose to represent myself in that way. But it's not just grinding. Also, the small wheels, like it is much lighter. Like I don't want to add weight to my feet. I want to be able to like exaggerate my airs a lot.
Actually, yeah, the last time I tried aggressive skates, that was like there's only a couple things like they're good for grinds, and there are certain like grabs. And I know you're not a thread the needle person, but you can't really thread the needle on big wheels. Grabs feel a little bit better, but not really. Like honestly,
I just like my skates. Like I like the look of like smaller wheels. Like it looks more like shoes. Like it looks like a nice sneaker. More like when you like the big wheels, it's so goofy. You know.
How is it goofy though? Because
you're so tall off the ground, and you have these big, huge, stupid wheels. I mean, I don't know. A part of being tight to me is literally being tight. Literally, the wheels are tight to you.
Tight.
I like it. I like the wheel to be close to my foot, not too big. I don't want to be like 10 feet tall when I'm skating. I want to have a lot of control, and I want them to look like a nice like Converse. Or like, you know, like Nike would never make a shoe, like if Nike made skates, okay, they wouldn't have these huge stupid wheels. They would be like small and sleek, you know, like, I don't know, like you wouldn't use a Discman, would you? You know, it's going backwards. You know, it's like I've got my iPod Shuffle in my pocket, small. It's all about small, Joey. Like cell phones have gotten smaller.
No, they haven't. They've gotten, like, there's really big cell phones now. Actually, the screens have gotten bigger. People have tablets. So I think there's cracks in your argument here, Rod.
Okay, are you going to walk down the street with a big chunky-ass phone?
It's not really chunky. Like, they make really thin, sleek phones that look really futuristic. So I think big wheels could be similar that way.
Parallel universes.
What about... Do you have to pee?
No, I'm doing good.
You're good.
You?
No, I'm good. The one thing that's really funny to me is obviously when you're in the blade game and you're being tight. You, not me.
Obviously.
If you were to show your section and my section to just someone who works at an office, what do you think? Do you think they would notice the differences between not only our styles but our skates?
100%.
You're confident in that?
Okay, I'll break it down for you.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. They're gonna watch your skating, and they're gonna be like, okay, yeah, rollerblading, yeah, I knew this is rollerblading. Okay, yeah, it's stupid. I'm aware of the preconception that people have. They're gonna look at your skating and be like, yeah, I see people like this down at the boardwalk, down the sidewalk. Yeah, I know, it's stupid. It's gay. They're probably gonna use the word gay. And then they're gonna watch like something like what I put out, and they're gonna be like, oh, I didn't know that. Like it's gonna throw them off, right? It's gonna mess with that preconception that they have. They're gonna see what I do, and they'll be like, oh, like this guy's rollerblading. This is rollerblading, you know, and they're gonna question their own preconceptions and change their mind.
It's funny because I've heard that attitude before, but rollerblading has been aggressive. What do you call it before I ask this question? Do you just call it rollerblading, or do you
call it skating?
That's pretty good. That's where it gets confusing a little bit. But skating, especially like trick skating or aggressive skating has been steadily declining actually over the last 15 years.
Not everyone can be tight. Not everyone.
There has been there's probably 200 tight, in your words, sections, amazing sections, and skating is still declining. So even if people are watching those sections and they're saying
like I said,
oh, look at this guy, look at this guy, oh, this looks good, this guy's rollerblading, that doesn't do anything.
It does a lot.
What does it do?
It does everything. What doesn't it do?
Yeah, but I mean, you're a brand owner, and so you're saying as long as there's a lot of tight content being made.
I'm going to break it down for you, Joey.
Okay.
What's a brand? A brand is an idea.
Yes, it's a feeling that you have.
And I'm promoting an idea.
Yeah.
Through my skating, I'm not just putting out all this wacky shit that you guys are. There's a lot of thought and intent that goes into every clip that I choose to put online. And every clip that represents Hot Dogs Gods is a reflection of how we feel. So every second of video clip, every millisecond, you could take any screen grab and that's going to be a logo for Hot Dogs Gods. It's going to represent the idea, the ethos of Hot Dogs Gods. Okay, and when the person in the office sees it, they're going to know.
But is your what is your goal with this brand to get to sell Hot Dogs God stuff to people who do skate or don't skate, or I'm confused. So even if you have if you're really into the brand and you're confident that every millisecond it's going to look amazing and could be a logo, I mean, what does that do for you? Where are you going with this?
I'm Jesus. I'm walking down the field and there's sheep behind me and I'm holding the cane and I've got a white robe. That's it. That's what I'm doing and that's where I'm going.
I think there's a few different company brand owners that have tried that whole Jesus thing.
This isn't a new concept.
It hasn't. We're in a different time. It's 2015. The doors are blown wide open. The democratization of the tools, even 10 years ago.
You talk a big game.
The fact that everybody could buy a camera and start making stuff was amazing. Now it's getting even harder for brands to differentiate themselves, and it's not anymore about being really tight for a short amount of time. It's actually it might not even be about being tight, and there might not even be a game anymore. It might just actually be about how do I see skating, what do I want to do with it, and what do I want to put out there, and that's where it is, brand or not.
Right. And I see that you're trying to fulfill your own needs, and you're trying to make skating fun for you, and that's great. I respect that. That's fine. But for us, for people in the industry, for people who are treating this as a business, we are playing the game, and it's a different game. We're not trying to fulfill ourselves. We're trying to fulfill that greater purpose and keep that high standard to represent our ideas and to ultimately feed our people.
But I was stating that your people are steadily declining, and actually, I don't know, looking to other companies, or they're trying a bunch of different companies. I'm saying it's wide open.
I don't want to talk about numbers.
That's okay. We don't have to. I know. Is there any way you could put it without saying numbers, like how sales are right now?
I have put it. We're eating.
Is there any other way? Because I've heard you say we're eating a few different times.
Okay.
I've heard from other.
We are getting paid. I don't know what you want.
Well, I've heard from other company owners. I mean, times are tough. People
Yeah,
say it's hard.
You can't really compare Hot Dogs Gods to like other companies. You know, it's a different. We're on a different level, and we're experiencing a lot of success. And we out here, and we're not going anywhere. Okay, Hot Dogs Gods is here forever, forever. Do you know what forever means, Joey?
Forever.
Forever means forever.
There was
forever.
Joe Gary actually did do a little intro.
Okay.
So
you
one
have
of the
seen
podcasts.
some of our stuff.
Well, I tried to Google you and find out
Right.
some stuff.
Yeah.
And he actually put
Joe Gary's tight.
He put it really well. He just said, "There's a lot of momentum right now.
Yep.
We just gotta keep doing what we're doing," which I think you said.
Yeah.
And good. I think he said maintain. Just gotta maintain.
Yeah, maintain is an important word.
And
it's
momentum
something that we talk
too.
about a lot is maintain.
Momentum.
Yeah, we have a lot of momentum behind us, and we want to maintain that level of momentum. See, Joe is a guy that really he gets it. He knows, and we're kind of on the same level. Like when I talk with Joe, it's different because he understands my words because he's there with me. You know, I'm not talking to someone who's like below us. Not like no offense or anything, but like.
No, that's okay.
But like when
I think we're just in different
when we're
places.
Up, yeah, you're in a different place, and that's fine. It's different. Like when people are there with me, they get it. You know, they know.
What do you think about? I mean, it's not just me or Leon or Todd or there's a lot of different people. They might have a aggressive skate setup, and they might have a big wheel setup. People are buying Wizard frames. People are putting out videos, big wheel videos, and there's no aggressive skating at all. I mean, that it's so hard. We always use that term, but like skating in your world,
right? Like real skating.
Yeah, sure. So how do you feel about that? Because it's not. I mean, I know you're. It almost sounds like you're worried about what we're putting out. Like, you might have to talk to a bunch of other people about what they're putting out into the world, not just me.
I might, and that's something that I've talked about is starting a committee, like a supervising committee of people who know, like a committee of people who are up on this level.
A governing board or
exactly.
like a council.
Like I would call it like something like the Real Skating Association of the world. And what we would do, obviously I would be on the association, and what we would do is, like, instead of just uploading directly to the internet, they would upload to us. And then we can filter out, okay, we can say, no, it's not there yet. Like, we don't want to discourage people. Yeah. We want them to keep trying, but if it's not up to par, if it's not up to our standard, we're going to say, sorry, try again. And then if we feel it represents our sport in the right light, then we'll put it up. You know, I think skating could really benefit from something like that.
You might be onto something. I mean, it's not anything that I'd be able to do, but maybe for a young guy, maybe the idea of pro skater goes away, and maybe we replace it with the idea of real skater. And the Real Skating Association of the World, that's what it's going to be called?
Yeah, that's something along those lines.
Something along those lines. Yeah. So imagine if there's the Real Skating Association of the World. They select
RSAW.
Real skaters. And now the whole idea of pro is gone. And now there's something above pro. So to become a real skater is even higher than pro skater. Is that kind of like what you're hinting at?
Well, they're both up there. I mean, pro is a technical term of like making money from your skating, making a living from your skating. And then real is recognized as real by the association of real. Like
the realest of the real.
Exactly. So
see, I'm getting into
to be really tight, you would want to be recognized as real and pro. You don't want to be one or the other. Well, you
so
be one or the other and
real,
struggling a little bit.
Is real more than pro?
But to be tight, you want to be pro and real. You want to have both of those labels because
shit.
You might be real, but you're not a businessman, you're not in the industry, and you're not getting that paper. So there's only so long that you can be real without financial support. You gotta see, like, being pro is like the foundation, and then being real is like the house.
Kind of like being core, like a core skater, core industry. Like
Being core and being real kind of go hand in hand in a way.
Is financial,
true to your roots.
Financial struggling part of it, being real and core, or not?
Yeah, I guess being core, core is when you're real, but you're not pro. That's core.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. So, core, it's not like the Real Skaters Association of the world would recognize core. They would just recognize
real.
pro and real.
Pro and real.
But they would
And
they would have a good community of core skaters that follows what the Real Skating Association of the world does. And the core skaters would hold the real skaters in high regard.
See, I have a lot of respect for the core skaters, but it's not something that the Real Skaters Association of the world would promote. We don't see core necessarily as a good thing. We can respect it, but we would encourage those core skaters to maybe take a business class, or maybe go to a Tony Robbins lecture, and then maybe they could parlay their real status into a career. That's
skating?
kind of what Hot Dogs Gods represents, is the whole spectrum. Okay? We're not, I mean, it's great if you're on one, if you're like doing well if it's great if you're real. I have a lot of respect for you. Like that is a huge part of the battle. But I wouldn't say, okay, you've made it if you're not pro.
So, Hot Dogs Gods...
Don't even fucking talk to me about the people who are pro and not real. Because that is a big problem.
I think they're being weeded out. I think there's not a lot of room in skating right now to be pro without being real.
They're not going to last.
They haven't. We've seen people retire. So we've seen Brian Aragon. He has nothing left to prove, but he could have kept it going. Jeff Stockwell. There's people whose paychecks get cut and their output gets cut. How do you feel about that? Like, there's been a lot of changes in skating in the past. 5 years has been...
And in the world.
Turbulent, yeah.
Change is the way of the times. Things are changing more rapidly than ever. So once again, I go back to purpose. And purpose is something that you can always fall back on. It doesn't matter what's changing in the world. As long as you know your purpose, then it doesn't matter what's changing.
If you're filming a tight section, because that's your purpose.
Yeah.
And you're real, and you're pro, and you're core, and you're filming this section, and it's going to be tight.
Yeah.
But you have no money, and you have your family doesn't support your skating, and actually you have no girlfriend or friends really, but you have, as long as you have the purpose and you're filming that tight section and you're real and core. But how do you pay the rent if you don't, how does that work?
You gotta believe. You have to have the purpose and you have to believe.
But if you're believing and there's purpose, what do you put that into actions that help you pay for, or like I guess some skaters find ways to just like crash on couches and
You do what you have to, but a part of being tight is getting paid.
But how much do you get paid?
I don't want to talk numbers. Like I told you that before. But I'm eating.
Did you take out a loan to start Hot Dogs Gods?
I don't want to get into the financial particulars of Hot Dogs Gods.
Okay. That's fine. What do you have planned for the brand in the coming years?
Well, I don't want to give away the secrets, but I can guarantee you that it's going to involve a very high level of tightness. It's going to involve very real skating and skaters. And it's going to be run with a very high level of professionalism.
How do you feel about, there's so many good skaters right now that could be pro, and they're core, and they're real. They're real in core, and they could be pro, but they're not. How do you feel about that? Does that make you, upset that there's guys that maybe, in your mind, need to get paid and they're not?
It is upsetting, and I do think there are a lot of people who deserve to get paid, but my philosophy is that if you go and you dig a hole, you might be working hard, but you can't expect to get paid if someone doesn't want you to be digging that hole. Okay, so what people need to do is fill a need. Okay, you get paid because someone needs you to do something. Okay, and I'm not going to give away all the secrets, because I've learned a lot on my path, on my journey of how to be tight, how to be real, how to be pro. So I don't want to give it all away, but I will say you got to find someone who wants you to dig the hole. Okay, and I believe that every pro skater out there can be getting paper. It's just a matter of digging the hole in the right place. And if you're digging a hole, maybe you haven't dug it deep enough, and maybe you need to keep going. Okay, maybe
there's a lot.
Maybe you need to believe in that hole, and you need to have purpose and maintain that purpose, and just keep digging. And everyone's gonna be like, "You're in a big hole. You're in a big hole." But you have your purpose. You have your belief.
Yeah, maybe the purpose.
And you are tight, and you are real. You keep digging, and don't look up. Don't look up to the sun. Look down to the dirt, because you know that it's gonna pay off, and you know that there's something waiting for you.
Is the purpose in the hole with you, or it's deeper?
It goes wherever you go.
Oh, so the purpose goes deep down into the... you keep digging a hole following your purpose. You're getting deep in that hole with your purpose.
Right. The purpose is within you, and you are within the hole, and you have to keep digging the hole.
There's a lot of people right now who are going to fucking dig holes for free, though. That's the thing.
See, that's the
How do you feel about that? There's people who, they're going to dig holes for companies for free.
Yeah.
In exchange for product, or...
I just look out for Rod Kinney, and... I help out the young up-and-comers when I can, but it's something that they're going to have to figure it out for themselves. I've been there, I've dug that hole, and it paid off for me, and all I can do is be a beacon of light for the people in their holes.
And this idea of, you want to build a brand, I think that idea of, putting a team together, I don't know if you're going to be, thinking of putting a team together, but the idea of having...
Well, it's basically me and Joe.
That's actually pretty smart, but I think the whole idea of trying to put together, here's a team of people who are really good, and here's a logo and some shirts and some products. You should buy our stuff because these people all represent this thing that we've chosen from all over who don't really skate together. Or
you got to be really selective.
Oh, okay. Do you follow skateboarding at all?
Of course. Yeah. Skateboarding is a big influence on Hot Dogs Gods.
What do you like about it that, do you apply things to Hot Dogs Gods from skateboarding, or...
A little bit. Mainly, the tight aspects, and they represent themselves very well. The clothing that they wear is very crisp and like at a high level of fashion. Like fashion is something that Hot Dogs Gods really wants to push in our brand, having a high level of fashion, and skaters that have like a certain look. Like you don't want to look like you're like a dad. You want to have like a certain grunge, a certain edge to your look that represents the idea of the brand. You wanna be like a little bit dirty, a little bit rough, and you want your actions to at all times represent the ideals of the brand.
So I'm just gonna throw out the words. So the words we've been using real,
Yeah.
and we've been using core, and we've been using pro. So are you trying to say throw edgy in the mix? Some edge. Some guys with some edge.
Well, it's a word that I would only use when talking to guys like you. You know, the word edgy. I just thought you would relate to that word. Like if I was with someone that was a little bit more real, I would definitely not use the word edgy. But since I'm talking to you,
People who are real just know.
People who are real know when to use the word real or when to use the word edgy. See, a part of being tight is knowing who you're talking to at all times and knowing the kind of language that they're going to understand.
Here,
When you're talking to a lower level...
Can I be a real guy? I'm going to do my impression of a real guy.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, fuck, we hung out with that guy. That guy rips. He's the raddest dude, too. He's like, just fucking so sick. And, like, he was crashing at my place, and
Nice.
he's struggling right now, but he's really, and he's filming something right now. It's fucking awesome.
See, that was pretty good. See you recognizing real, and that's a sign of real, and you're helping out real. You're giving a young up and comer like a ripper. You're giving a ripper a place to crash. That was good.
Thanks. Maybe it could just be that.
You didn't overuse the F-bombs. There was a couple in there just to let me know, like, oh, he doesn't give a fuck, but not overusing it to the point where like you don't have anything going, like you want to be interesting. So like if you say fuck too much, then your level of like real might be increased, but then your level of intelligence goes down. So you want to keep a high level of intelligence. Consciousness is very important.
I tried to like tap into lack of consciousness there.
No, but see, that confuses me because you recognized real, you were talking about a ripper, and you were being generous, showing some like clout.
Yeah.
I thought you like when you broke into that impression, I had a little bit more respect for you. Like even though you were just joking, I knew you were joking, but just the fact that you could even like pretend to be real, I was like, there's some understanding of real. Like I recognized your intelligence.
You know how some people say the struggle is real?
Right.
How about real is the struggle?
I don't think so, because real, once you're real...
That impression...
See, okay,
that impression, when I fell into it,
yeah,
I imagine there was a very real struggle there.
Right.
Real is the struggle. To be real is the struggle. To be real is to...
I think you're mistaking real for core. I think your impression was very core. The sleeping on the couch thing.
Yeah.
The struggle part. I would say the struggle is core.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was more core than real.
Yeah, and that's something that like real people would understand. That the struggle is not always necessarily real. The struggle is always core.
So, how do you feel about scootering then, all that said?
See, scootering's whack. 100%.
I think that's so weird coming from someone who uses rollerblades, though. You use rollerblades.
Yeah, but see, yes, I use rollerblades, but in a real way. I've never seen a real way of using a scooter, and I don't think it exists.
There's a guy on Nitro Circus that's Ryan Williams. He's doing the Nitro Circus tour. And
I can respect the skill involved with it, but it'll never be tight. Because it's impossible to be tight on a scooter.
There's people who think about that exact same thing with rollerblading, though. There's people who would never...
Yeah, but they're wrong.
But someone would say that you're wrong saying that about scootering, though.
Haters are gonna hate.
That's such a crazy term. Like, it's thrown around so much, haters are gonna hate.
Like, you need to have haters, but you have to look at your haters and understand whether or not there's merit to it, and understand if these are the people that you're supposed to be marketing to, or if these are the people that, because like Marilyn Manson, for instance, he has haters, you know, but he is also Jesus walking through the field with a lot of sheep behind him. He's very successful. He's a successful businessman. It's not done.
That time is done. There's no...
What do you mean that time's done?
You can't be... No. The whole, like, the Jesus brand thing, no. You can't. It's splintered off into so many little tiny pieces.
Right, but if you're doing the right thing, then you're going to collect all the pieces, and they're gonna follow you.
I just have a hard time believing that you're making any money doing this. In fact, I am led to believe that you're in a lot of debt right now, and you're just trying to put on that you're making money with this brand.
Okay, I'll try to use language that you might understand here, okay? I am 100% certain in my purpose, and I have unwavering belief, and real recognizes real, and I've spoken to real people in the industry who recognize that I am real, and they have validated my real status, and I'm eating. I'm getting paid. That's it.
It's good. Well, you've opened my eyes up a little bit.
I hope so, and you know, I have a lot of respect for you and Todd. I do.
We are going to get the aggressives out. We are.
That'd be great.
And you know, I think everything's going to come full circle eventually, and it might not be 180ing a big double set. It might not be that, but it doesn't have to be.
But it could be.
You're right.
And that would up your chances. I mean, I hope after this conversation that you're not going to just upload your edits directly to the net. You're going to send them to the Real Skaters Association first to have them filtered?
Well, I mean, there's already a problem with, like, big wheels. I don't know. Would you accept big wheel edits into the Real Skaters Association of the world?
No, but you just said that you were going to put aggressive.
Yeah, well...
And you might have a chance. No. No big wheel.
Yeah, maybe I will. But it'd be okay if I didn't.
Like, we would accept that people big wheel, like, on their own time, like, as a cross-training tool, you know?
Yeah.
But we wouldn't accept any big wheels edits. Like, we wouldn't choose to put that on the internet. Like, that's not how we want to represent our sport. But like, if you want to go do that, like, in the middle of the night or, like, at an empty park,
yeah,
or something, then I have no problem with that. But just, we don't film it. let's keep it tight. Let's raise the bar.
Okay.
Is what I'm promoting and what Hot Dogs Gods promotes. It's, like, we all eat food, right? And every day we're faced with that decision: are we gonna eat like some chips, or are we gonna have a steak? And it's the same thing in rollerblading, where we're in control, okay? And we can either be a steak or we can be chips. And that's an obvious decision for me, but it's not obvious for everyone. So that's why we need the association to send it in, because people might not know the difference, right?
Between steak and chips.
And that's okay. We need to educate. Education is a big part of our brand and about our ideals. And that's why I wanted to come on the podcast and try to spread some of the wisdom, some of the things that I've learned along the way, and try to, because I know you guys don't have a lot of listeners, but I guess you have enough listeners for this to be worth my time. Normally I wouldn't do an appearance like this without getting some paper. But I think it's a good promotional tool for the brand and for me.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of people who connect with what you say. That, like I said, it's good to have people with different points of view on the podcast, and maybe it'll bring different people to the podcast that, like what you do, but might not necessarily like what we do with the podcast. So, I think it's good that way, that you bring people with a different point of view to this podcast, just as you've brought your own different point of view.
Yeah, and I think like a lot more people are going to listen to this because I'm on. You might get like 100 listeners normally, but people like, oh shit, Rob Kinney's on it. I have a lot of connections in the fashion industry and in the skateboarding industry. I've got a lot of like DJ friends that will probably share the link on like social media platforms that are very established, not just like rollerblading platforms, and it'll bring a whole new light to this podcast.
That's good.
Like a new audience. That's what I'm all about, is like expanding the audience.
Yeah.
Getting involved with other industries, going to trade shows. I'm big on trade shows.
Yeah.
Big on like music festivals.
Yeah, I would love to have a DJ on the podcast.
Yeah, I could probably hook that up. I know a lot of really hot DJs. Like a few models. Like I could hook it up. We'll talk after the show.
Yeah, perfect.
But I'd like to get like a higher level of guest on the show, and someone who can like share knowledge from other industries.
Yeah, because I guess for you, it really, like, that mainstream is, you try and say that it's not important, but it is.
It is very important, and that's kind of why I've been successful and why Hot Dogs Gods has been successful, is because of our reaching out.
Yeah.
And really networking is a big part of what we do. Meeting the right people, networking with people who I know people in higher positions in different industries.
And just ending it off, I have one question. It's not that big of a question, but VG, is it coming back or not?
I know Dave, and I know that he's real. Okay, he's someone. He's got the real status, but it's unfortunate that he's core. Dave is core. He's not pro right now, and I wouldn't want to discourage him. I think that he just needs to be true to himself and keep working the platform that he's working. He's working with some very big brands, and I think he's doing a good job of infiltrating other industries, not from a pro level, but from a core level. And if he wants to, if he ever did want to bring VG back, I would be very excited. But I trust that whatever he's doing is good for rollerblading.
Thanks, Rod Kinney.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This was really fun.
And we'll do it again sometime, or maybe Joe can come on, possibly.
Yeah, Joe's interested.
Awesome.
So yeah, definitely. I just want to give some shout outs to Chris Haffey, Alex Broskow, Nick Potterick, Drew Backrack, Chris Edwards, Aragon, Farmer, and Richie Eisler.
Thanks, Rod.
Peep Game, check me out. Peace.